Hey everyone, Helen Barcelone here again with another Afternoon Tea with Helen. And always, as I say, remember to subscribe, remember to like, and remember to comment, because we appreciate all of your feedback, and everyone's got such great nuggets for you and inspiration and motivation that it's good to hear the feedback. As always, I have my little British teacup here with my tea in it, which I will be drinking throughout the show. And today my wonderful, wonderful guest is all the way from London, UK, and who obviously is British. And do you have a teacup? Do you have your tea, Susan, or are you not drinking tea today?
No, I don't have. I've changed to a mug now, unfortunately. No teacups for me anymore.
Yeah, I change intermittently, mug, tea, all that, mug, cup, yeah, whatever I'm in the mood for. Sometimes a glass, it just depends on what I'm drinking, you know. Yes. So when we met many, many years ago, we met in Celebration in Central Florida. So, and you moved back to London. So what are you doing with your life right now? What are you involved in? What inspires you? What are you doing? What gets you up in the morning?
Okay. As you may have known, I was always an interior designer and did a lot of sort of refurbishment work. And when I came back to the UK, I did a lot of spiritual work on myself whilst I was in the US, because I felt that I needed to. I wanted to get back to that spiritual connection with myself that was really, really important to me. So I came back actually 6 years ago now, and it was very different. It was a lot of people had moved out. It's a big city and it's very transitional. So a lot of people had moved out of London or to another country. It was hard work, sort of getting connections back, or some sort of connection within my industry back. But I'm still involved with interior design, but I also have a passion for the planet. And I always have done. So what gets me up in the morning is trying to save it, really. So I pivoted my business.
All by yourself, or are you getting other people to help you? Because the planet is a pretty bad mess right now.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, before all this happened, I have a business coach in the US called Toby Fairley, and I have found that the majority of innovative self-help and business direction does actually start in the US. I wanted to pivot my business towards online marketing, basically, which is a whole new ball game. And then this happened. Yeah. And
for everyone out there, this is COVID-19, because we're in 2020, because we don't know when someone's going to watch this. Yeah. So yeah, we're in COVID-19 at this moment in time. Yes.
Yeah. It's being sort of released or relaxed over here, but we're still in a pandemic, basically. So it gave me the opportunity to actually work on that. So I now create sustainable and healthy interiors, normally for higher net worth individuals.
What sort of things? Elaborate. What sort of things?
What sort of things? So sustainability is a bit of a buzzword now, and because of because of the pandemic and COVID, it's really made people think about the planet. It's brought people closer to nature, because being indoors all the time, they've had the opportunity to actually spend more time in their gardens, or go for walks in parks and forests, of which we have many great parks here in London, as you probably
know. Exactly.
So that is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds, is sustainability. And of course, with the Greta Thunberg global warming efforts, she sort of alerted everybody to this crisis that we really are going through, which COVID has taken over. Crisis.
Exactly.
So sustainability is basically what I wanted to do. So let me just backtrack here. What I wanted to do is give people the option to be more thoughtful about what they are buying. You know, we have the power to really make a difference with our pocket, and we can make better choices that are more ethical and can help the planet and natural environments.
Don't you find that people, yes, they want to save the planet, yes, they know the sustainability, all that sort of stuff, but they look at something that's going to save the planet, it's going to cost them $10, and the thing that they really want is only $2, and they go, well, that's a big quantum leap. We need to change the planet. Can my wallet hold this? You know, is there, I mean, I know because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And what I do is helping people get back to nature and organic and holistic and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do things, especially with hemp. You know, hemp is
great.
cheap. It's cheap to grow. It's cheap to look after itself. All that sort of stuff, and can be made into lots of different things. However, do you find that people's mindset needs to change more than their I want to save the planet? Everybody wants to save the planet. Everybody wants to leave a legacy for their children and grandchildren. But do you think they need more of a mindset change? And how do you go about doing that in your and the reason I know, and I'm going to, after we finish, I'm going to give you their numbers. My granddaughter has been trying to save the planet since she was born, right? And she'll be 18 in September. Exactly. And she moved back to London also. And my daughter has just started up a new line of sustainable clothing and also giving back to charity to help with domestic violence in men and all this sort of thing as well. Where do you live in London?
In Greenwich.
All right, they're in Brentwood. So that's not.
Yeah, they're in Essex. Yeah.
I love Greenwich. I love Greenwich. One of my favorite places.
Fabulous. Yeah, it's good.
One of my favorite places, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think it's more a mindset change as opposed to a monetary amount change that you have to get through to people?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is, Helen. But it's education. It's providing people with the right information, and one of the ways to actually perhaps inform people is to make them realize that there are health benefits too. It's not just saving the planet. I mean, that really is a whole different issue. I have found that it's really best to talk about how it can benefit the human and the individual, because there are a lot of products that we use in our homes that are toxic and we don't realize it. I've written an article about non-toxic paints. And the US is actually quite good on that, I must say.
I was going to say, I know someone that uses that manufactures non-toxic paint. Yes.
Yeah.
However, I'd like to also question. I'm in self-development and self-help and have been for over 30 years. And I've got to say that the US is behind the rest of the world in self-help, because most of the masters in self-help do more business in the UK, Ireland, and Spain than they do in the US.
That's
and when I started my practice, I was in the UK when I started my practice, and obviously I lived in Australia for 10 years as well, and Australia, even way back then, was more organic and self-help and everything, which is why they're so far advanced in the rest of the world. And I found that although all my qualifications are worldwide, and I made sure that that would happen because I wanted to travel, my teachers like Dr. Richard Bandler, Dr. John Grinder, all of those people, they all do their workshops, their trainings, and their retreats in Ireland, UK, and Spain. Very rarely in the States.
Wow, that has really shocked me.
Yeah.
That really has surprised me.
And this was 20, 30 years ago. The States are now coming around to it. And there are a lot more people going to Landmark and doing the Tony Robbins stuff and Brian Tracy and those sorts of things as well.
Wow.
But it's not like the people, if you say something to someone in Europe, they go, oh, yes. You say something to someone in the States, then it's a maybe, and having to work it through type of thing. So it has changed over the last maybe 10 years. But when I came to the States 20 years ago, it was a challenge. I had to really remodel my whole business model to be able to fit it in. And over the last 5 years, it's where it was in the UK 30 years ago. So, yeah, so I know that from personal experience, but however, from your experience, it may have changed in that respect with your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised at that. Is it regional? Do you think in the US? Do you think
possibly because I'm in Florida, so it may be because Florida is very transient and we have a lot of people coming and going all the time. So it could be. I don't know about places like, you know, the cities like New York, Boston, or places like that. So
yeah, in terms of interiors, Helen, they've always said, and it's always been a bit of a joke, is that trends normally started in London. London was always quite a hip happening place, wasn't it? And it sort of still is to some extent. But then they said the trends would then go to California. 5 years later, it would be New York, and then 10 years later, it's Florida.
That's about right. Really that's about it. Yes, yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Yeah, exactly.
Florida's really behind.
Yes.
But you know, it's interesting, isn't it? I did a lot of self-help work when I was in Florida. It's interesting. I found it very spiritual. And I've always followed a lot of, you know, I love Oprah. When I went to the US 20 years ago, 2005, so it's not quite 20 years ago, we didn't have anything like all the self-help gurus that you have in the US. We didn't have them in the UK, for sure. I'm pretty sure that we didn't. We had therapists because I went to some of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But and then people here would laugh at you if you say, oh, well, I've been to a therapy. Oh no, we don't need any of that, you know.
No, I totally agree, because I lived in Australia and would go to chiropractors, acupuncturists, and spiritual people. And when I came back to the UK, I couldn't find anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, until I came to the States, I couldn't find anything. You know, so moving on a little bit. So you're doing sustainable things, which is excellent. So you didn't always do that, okay? So when you started working life, you know, what did you aspire to be when you were at school, college, or whatever?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I had no idea. I actually, the first thing I wanted to be was an archaeologist. Isn't that odd?
I can see you as an archaeologist. Yes.
Getting down in the mud, digging through all the...
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Getting in those London undergrounds in the catacombs down there. Yes.
And I think that derived from I wanted to discover some treasure.
Oh yeah.
For some reason.
Okay.
But actually, linking back all these years later, I think one of the main reasons I've moved back to the UK, well, I'm English anyway, but I moved when I was 42, So that was quite late, I think, to move to another country. You're sort of ingrained. I think the Englishness is ingrained. But I love history. I absolutely love history. And that's one of the things I love about the UK is the history. Love it.
Oh, amazing.
So archaeology, and then fashion, which I never sort of got into really. I used to wear a lot of it, but in terms
I remember, yes,
of creating it, then not so much. So yeah.
So what one thing did a mentor or a coach or someone say to you that stays with you?
Ooh, you should have prepared me for these questions.
No. I like it to be ad hoc. I like it to be real.
Oh gosh. Oh, God, that's a tough one. I always remember Maya Angelou, who I did not actually meet.
No, she was amazing. Yes.
Yeah, saying, if you know better, you do better.
That's always a good.
Always saying that to people.
I was introduced to her by a very good friend of mine in, I have to remember which country I was in when I lived in Woking, right? And he introduced me to The Cage Bird Sings, and that's Maya Angelou's story.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, very, very inspiring, but also very horrific as well.
Yeah,
you know, what she went through in her life. Yes, but amazing. And she only died the last few years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
3 years ago, something like that, you know. So if you were to, so say for example, my other granddaughter has wanted to be a fashion designer since she opened her eyes. Okay, so if you were, and you're in interior design and the planet and the fashion design, what would you advise someone that's looking to go to college, university, we call it over there, to expand that horizon in you know, this current world that we're living in? What would you advise them?
Well, fashion is very competitive, as you know. You've either got to be incredibly gifted, and I'm talking, you know, Dior, Chanel, Alexandra McQueen gifted, to really make it. But we don't have to be the best fashion designer in the world. We don't have to be the best interior designer in the world. You know, we can still be good at what we do and still have a passion for it. So I would say that, yes, definitely acknowledge that you identify you've got a passion for it. I would get some sort of business training behind you, because that's what they do. Yeah, they do not train you in college or universities at all for the real world.
I agree 100%, and I think we should really, you know, look at that aspect, because I coach a lot of students because of that very thing, because they have the academic, but they don't have the socially interactive business acumen, you know. So yes, I totally agree with that. And talking about Alexander McQueen, which is obviously a UK thing, right? Reminds me of Ladies of London. Did you ever watch Ladies of London? You have to watch it. Oh, really? You have to watch it. You remind me of Ladies of London as well. It's a bit like Atlanta Housewives or the
God.
It's like that. But one of them was a model for Alexander McQueen.
Oh, was she?
Okay. Yes. And so they're all very rich and into the scene. Okay. And they're all very upper class, which is why they're called Ladies of London. And there's a group of them, I think there's either 4 or 6, and one is American. She's moved over because she married an earl, right? So she married an earl. So she's She's if you marry an Earl, you're a lady, aren't you?
No.
Well, she married an Earl, and so therefore she's adapting into the London ladies of London. You got to watch it. Got to watch it. I mean, it's done now, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere on some sort of, you know, on demand or something.
I would have been a lady of London 15 years ago, not now. Anyway.
Well, this is it. So for those of the people that don't know what it is, go look it up. It's hysterical. It's really good, but it's very, very British, very upper crust British.
Yeah.
So, and we as British people know that by people's accents and the way that they speak and their vocabulary, whereas most other people that are not from the UK don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, they just hear a different accent. They think the Geico guy is the guy, you know, but his accent is East London. And then if you're like me, who come from Scotland, I used to sound like the guy from Outlander. So if you've ever watched Outlander, that's exactly where I came from. Where that is filmed and all the names, that's where I came from. Wow. Exactly. I was born in Aberdeen, which is the gateway to the Highlands, and the movie is shot, and they mention places like Balmoral, they mention Elgin, they mention all of these places which were like 5 minutes from where I live, you know. Okay, so if you were to give one nugget of motivation or inspiration to share, what would it be?
Always believe in yourself and keep going no matter what.
You know, there's several people that I've interviewed. I've probably done about 25 of these already. And I've got to say that one comes up a lot. And it really is. So if you get anything out of life, is from listening to other people, is that exact thing. And I don't think people do that enough, you know. So we're going to finish here because my screen is doing its thing. So we'll have to finish up now. So thank you all for watching Afternoon Tea with Helen. If you want to be on the show, the link is there below. Susan will put her links below as well, so you can find out about her sustainability and maybe get involved in any way that you can, because it's a worldwide saving the planet thing. And remember to subscribe, remember to comment, and remember to share. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.